Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Gonna jump into some bite down boxing really quickly to recap last night's Ring City USA card, which aired on NBC Sports Network. And, it took a bit of a hit because Brandon Adams was supposed to face Serhii Bohachuk, and Bohachuk tested positive for COVID, and they had a replacement of Sanny Duversonne. Running through the card really quickly, Danielle Perkins took out Princess Hairston. I believe that was a fifth round stoppage. Brian Ceballo won a wide unanimous decision over Larry Gomez. I thought that was a pretty decent fight. Ceballo is a pretty interesting fighter, a very well-rounded fighter and whatnot. I just think that's one of those situations where a fight goes the distance and, a guy gets a decision but doesn't necessarily establish himself as a can't miss guy or a must see guy. But he is young. I mean, that was his 12th fight, 13th fight or something. Took some good shots. He can box really well. It's just, at the welterweight division, you're in a tough spot when you're around or slightly behind guys like Virgil Ortiz, who only has like 15 or 16 wins. I think all coming by knockout, or all but one coming by knockout. And then you have Jaron Ennis, at like 26-0 with 23 or 24 knockouts. So, Gomez came in and gave a good account of himself, made it interesting and whatnot. But like I said, when you're around the class in a particular division that you're around, in terms of the old guard, new guard, becoming a contender, even establishing yourself as a viable prospect, you're just going to be judged in that manner. But it's great to pick up the win, look really good on TV, and, earn a position, earn an invite back somewhere else. As for Gore Yeritsyan, a welterweight fight, I believe another welterweight fight against Monry Montez. I wasn't that familiar with Montez, but Yeritsyan, under the tutelage of Freddie Roach, I thought he looked pretty good. He can box, bang a little bit, busy with his hands, not eye-catching power per se, but I like his attitude. He wants to fight. He wants to be great. You saw the tattoo on his back. You see who he's working with. And he's enthusiastic about the fight game. So we'll check out more of him in the future. I thought he had a pretty good performance. Montez just really didn't do a whole, not very few special effects there. Pretty tough guy. He got beat up pretty good, was bleeding out of the ear. They were observing him or evaluating him in between rounds for the last 2 or 3 rounds of the fight. And Yeritsyan was just more of the classier fighter. Getting to the main event, I thought Duversonne was going to be in trouble. We got to go back and admit or understand that, at one point in time, Brandon Adams was going places in the game. And then he kind of hit a wall, took a step back or a couple of steps back, was inactive for a while, resurfaced on, the Contender. Kind of had this different attitude. I don't know, I wouldn't say he was exposed, but we found out a little bit about what he struggles with. I think he's undersized for middleweight. So, I didn't think much of him facing Jamal Charlo last year. But, he can bang, he can box. He's a pretty strong guy. He's pretty confident in what his skills are, what his ability is. And I just felt like Duversonne, and that was what's working against Duversonne here. Adams, this is a fight that he can't afford to lose and really couldn't afford to look average in based on him having, 2 or 3 losses. And with the skill set that he does have, in my opinion, Duversonne just wants to kind of like go rounds, box, and just is kind of in there without a purpose. You saw his trainer had the shirt on, the t-shirt that said, "Be intentional." And that's not what I've really gotten from Duversonne in the last two times that I saw him, against Truck Simpson back in October, and then in November against Cordell Booker. He might have looked a little better against Booker. I didn't see that whole fight. But, he's tall. And I thought, we'll see what he does with the reach against the shorter, what he does, with the reach advantage and height advantage against the shorter Brandon Adams. But Brandon Adams was the prime example of being intentional. He got a good sense, a good feel for what Duversonne was in there to do in the first round. And then he came out in the second round and just, capitalized on a guy who was standing in front of him who really wasn't on his level. He closed the distance very quickly. Duversonne was getting on the ropes too much. And when he was getting on the ropes, that negated that 10-inch reach advantage. He wasn't a physical guy. Adams is getting in and out. He's banging that left hook around the guard of Duversonne. And like I said, he could see that the guy really didn't have any answer for being on the ropes and didn't really, to get off of the ropes or to fight back inside. He just, Adams is all wrong for him in skill set, attitude, mentality, demeanor inside the ring IQ, energy, all of that. And so when we get to the moment where Jack Reese stepped in to call the fight, he clearly took like 3 or 4 big left hooks in a row. That first one, you saw he dropped his hands and kind of fell forward a little bit, seemingly out of it right there. But, instinct kicks in. Adams hit him a couple of times, or maybe Adams even went to the body, wakes him back up kind of, and then he tightens his guard up a little bit. But it's still, the shots were getting through his guard. The left, like I said, the 3 or 4 left hooks that got in and snapped his head around violently. He wasn't showing that he really could defend himself or that he was really able to start fighting back in any way. And I think he kind of forced Jack Reese's hand to call that fight. Of course, as soon as Jack Reese called it, he said something to him immediately and was like, "For what or why?" And, he looked a little deflated about the moment and so on and so forth, and was communicating okay. But you saw as he went to take those steps to go back to his corner, you could see he was using his left hand to kind of steady himself along the ropes as his legs were, weren't under him, strong. And so it was a good stoppage, man. Like I said, he didn't really have the experience to get out of those situations and to be able to trick the referee, into thinking there was something more that he could do. So I thought it was a good stoppage, good performance by Brandon Adams. Pretty good show for Ring City, USA itself. Quick note before I get on off of here. I did talk with St. Louis, Missouri heavyweight, undefeated heavyweight, Stephen Shaw last night. But I got some issues with the audio, so I'm probably going to have to write an article over the weekend that I'll put up at www.bitedownboxing.com. And maybe if I can figure out a way to salvage some of the audio, I can make a video out of that for those that don't like to read. But we spoke on, he was in Deontay Wilder's camp, I believe, before the Ortiz rematch, as well as the the Fury rematch. So we talked about the claims that Wilder's been making lately. Then we talked about where he is in the heavyweight division and, how he sees himself stepping up. He mentioned that, he already beat a lot of the guys that are in front of him. They're just now fighting guys that he beat several years ago. So we talked about quite a bit, man. He's a pretty good guy, and he'll be on there December 17th, along with the Charles Conwell fight. So let me get on off of here, man. Hit that like button. Become a subscriber to Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Bite down, boxers. Don't let them count you out. Peace.